Our universe was created 13.8 billion years ago, and our Earth 5 billion years ago. The first form of Homo sapiens began to evolve 2.5 million years ago, but the first modern Homo sapiens appeared 200,000 years ago. And with the formation of modern Homo sapiens came civilization, and with civilization came religion, leisure, and music. This is the history of women in music. To begin, we'll start in Mesopotamia, located in the northern Arab peninsula between the Tigris and Euphrates River. The Mesopotamian Empire lasted from 3500 BC to 500 BC. Music was ceremonial or religious, and women often played string instruments because they were considered more feminine. Despite this, Laputia the drummer was the first named drummer in human history and was a woman. Next, ancient Egypt, located in northeastern Africa. The Egyptian Empire lasted from 3000 BC to 50 BC. The highest temple musicians were always women. Music again was often ceremonial or religious, and string instruments were often played by women. Next, the Indus Valley Civilization. The Indus Valley Civilization lasted from 2500 BC to 1500 BC, and little is known. Most of their artifacts have been destroyed due to unknown circumstances, but probably a large flood or other natural circumstances. Next, ancient China. The ancient Chinese empires lasted from about 2000 BC to 500 BC. Women were found in many musical professions, but towards the end of the ancient Chinese civilizations, lower-class women were often found playing instruments. Again, it was very ceremonial and religious, and women played string instruments or some woodwinds. Then, ancient Greece. Ancient Greece lasted from about 1200 BC to 100 BC. Women were often overshadowed and ignored throughout ancient Greek history. The history of women in ancient Greece was only documented by the men who portrayed them, most often in their art. Women played all instruments, even drums, which was unique because most of the time people did not allow women to play drums because they were seen as a man's instrument. The European Middle Ages lasted from 480 to 1480. In Western Europe, music was initially banned by the Catholic and other Christian churches. Eventually, Gregorian chant began to form. Gregorian chant is a monophonic form of singing that was very popular within the Roman Catholic Church during the European Middle Ages. Despite music being taboo during the Middle Ages, Hildegard von Bingen was a woman who composed Gregorian chant throughout this time period. In Eastern Europe, it was even harder for people to perform any sort of art, including visual and musical. Despite this, there were composers that were women, one of them being Cassia, who was one of the only women to publish under her actual name during this time period. After the Middle Ages, there was the European Enlightenment, which lasted from 1400 BC to 1800 BC. As people became more open-minded, more individuals began to practice music, these individuals often being men, but there were some women that did practice music, though they were often overshadowed. The main example of this is Maria Anna Mozart, who is Mozart's sister and was said to actually have been more talented than him, but as being a woman, she was not allowed to share her talents. Next, during the 20th and the beginning of the 21st century, we will be focusing on the USA. In the 1920s, jazz was created by the African American community. In addition to this, there were flappers, women who dressed in short dresses and had short haircuts. This was following first-wave feminism and the rights of women to vote following World War I. A significant female artist during this time period was Ella Fitzgerald. During the 1950s, rock and roll became popular. Rock and roll was stolen by the white community from Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and even one of Elvis's most popular songs, Hound Dog, was stolen from Big Mama Thornton. Rock and roll was stolen from the African American community by prominent white artists, displaying one of the largest acts of modern cultural appropriation that America has to offer. In the 1960s, second-wave feminism began. Women in music began to grow more popular, and some of these include Tina Turner, Aretha Franklin, and Janis Joplin. There was also a very large sentiment for peace during the 1960s due to the beginning of the Vietnam War. In the 1980s, women continued to face discrimination, but the 1980s were some of the first times that women began to discuss feminism in their music. Some of the artists from the 1980s include Madonna, Whitney Houston, and Cher. In the 1990s, Riot Grrrl and third-wave feminism began. Bikini Kill, Shania Twain, The Spice Girls, Destiny's Child, and Gwen Stefani are all artists from this time period. Finally, in the 2000s to the 2010s, women continued to face discrimination through objectification and less job opportunities. Feminism is often included more so than any other time period in human history. Intersectionality today allows for discussion of other things besides just feminism, but also feminism when considering racial and LGBT rights. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please remember that women have always been extremely important to the progression of music throughout human history.